Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome back to the 4th episode of the StudentID podcast. We're very pleased to have Laetitia Squire today, the second BITLASI guest. Welcome Laetitia, thank you for joining us for this conversation and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to get started.
So our first question is about you. Of course it's about you, but it's about your background, about what makes you, like your identity, your nationality. I know you come from a lot of different cultures. Maybe you can share a bit of your origins, where you're from, what factors into your sense of identity.
Yeah, so my dad is English and French, and my mom is Italian and Belgian. I was born in Switzerland, but grew up in the States. And then I moved to France for a couple years, and then back to Switzerland. So kind of been left and right, but very European background for sure. I think living in the States for 7 years definitely was the foundation of who I am, but I do not identify as an American at all.
I relate to that, yeah.
I moved there when I was like 1, and I stayed until I was 8. And then I went to Paris from 8 to 12.
And then you went to?
Geneva for 6 years, so 12 to 18.
So it's good that we start with your background so people know the multiculti background. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of a bit of everywhere. But yeah.
So how did you get to ISALE?
How did I get to ISALE? That's a great question. So, well, I started uni elsewhere. And I think after a year, I told myself, all right, this is not for me, so I'm gonna change. And my brother was a previous ISALE student, so he did a BBA and graduated in like 2019 or something. And he was part of a group of students that basically were sat down and were like, okay, what's the problem with the BBA? And so they created a new degree called BITLASI. And so since he was part of that, group of, there were like 7 students or something like that, he knew about the program. And so he told me, well, normally ISALE is launching a new program, you should check it out. And so I checked it out and I really liked, the vision behind the program. Definitely corresponded to me a lot more than what I was doing previously. And so, yeah, I mean, Barcelona, there's worse places on earth. And I mean, yeah, the choice was pretty quickly made, honestly. Definitely the degree was the decisive factor for me.
But are you saying that students made the BITLASI?
No.
So what was the group of students with your brother?
Basically they were like old BBA students years ago, like I don't...
Like her brother, yeah.
Yeah, and like...
Years ago.
Years, decades, no I'm kidding.
So who created it? Is it
No, it's just like a professor. Basically, my program director decided to get a couple of students, professor in BBA, and she realized that there was a couple things that could be improved in the BBA. So she gathered a couple of students and was like, all right, what can be changed? And what do you expect more of a BBA? And
so you're doing a better version of the BBA. That's what I'm hearing as the time.
Poor Alice is getting her degree debunked at every episode.
I mean, fair enough,
Shots fired.
No, I'm kidding. Well, not really. But, it's different. They're different things.
Berlin?
In contrast.
We're going to talk about Berlin real quick.
Berlin.
BITLASI, they go to Berlin in second year.
Yeah.
So, how was that experience for you? What did you learn? And the city, especially.
Wow. What did I learn? How could I say that in a couple sentences? Well, Berlin, so we were there for 2 months, which isn't that long, but I'd say it's enough, honestly, because it was super intense, in a super good way. But everything, whether it be professional or personal, you just literally on a daily basis you were learning more and more things. So we were basically in an apartment hotel type of situation, which is particular to us. I know the following years won't have that, so that's important to bear in mind.
What are they going to have this year?
After
No.
Sorry, no. The following years, they have to find their own accommodation.
That's so sad.
Yeah. No, we're privileged.
The vibe of the cluster and the whole degree together, it must be cool. Just to go to events together, it's just organizational-wise.
Totally. It won't be that different for the following years because anyways, you're doing everything together. But I think the fact of being in a hotel, for 2 months with the same 40 people, just on soft skills, wow. That's it's soft skills boot camp. This is where you get all your patience and your understanding. But it was all in all, it was really amazing to stay with 40 of your classmates, and you've known them now for 2 years. So on that level, you get really close and tight as a class. And also just the classes in Berlin itself. Well, classes were super, super interesting. So we had 8 weeks and we had 8 modules. So one module was a different course every time. And we'd have, basically in the morning, we'd have classes with excited professors. So they'd come for a week to Berlin for us. That was really nice. And we had a lot of master professors. So that was like top tier education.
Top tier stuff.
Yeah, like this was no joke. No, honestly, you could really feel a difference. But it was really nice. Like the professors that came over were amazing. And so in the afternoon, that was like full like culture, like German culture, because that's also the reason why we're going to Berlin is what are the relevant countries, you know, that can be sources of inspiration. And I know that I said they picked Berlin because of like the innovation and also it's super diverse. So we did a lot of company visits. I mean, I could name so many, but like off the top of my head, we went to see Zalando. So they did a whole pitch on like what their sustainability objectives are and things like that. We went to like local businesses. There was one called Pool, which was super cool. It's like where you rent clothes and you pay like a subscription, and it was amazing idea. Like loved it. There was another thing called Dent Tabs where it was like this guy was researching toothpaste for a decade,
his whole
like
life.
Yeah, like a long time. Like I don't want to say anything wrong, but a long time. And basically he was selling like tablets of toothpaste and not like toothpaste
So, like,
in
gum?
tubes.
Can you eat
No, yeah, well, yes, you can if you want to, but basically it's like you put water in your toothbrush, you like pop it in your mouth and you like crunch it and you brush your teeth. Pretty interesting. Innovative, exactly. That was the point.
Exactly, that's
I
good
know,
to
that's so
get
cool.
inspiration.
I
Yeah.
love toothpaste.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, yeah, no, very interesting. So no, I mean those are a couple that we saw, but I mean we saw so many.
And overall, what's the main thing that you took away from like these company visits and these classes?
The main thing, that's a very hard question because to be fair, they all had different backgrounds and like different experiences. Like the guy from Pool, for example, he was like 30, but the guy from Dentabs, he was like, like 60 or something. So the experience changes, and therefore what they would tell you was different, you know, so there are a lot of things that they would teach us. But I think the main thing I learned was really like, especially on a startup level, was the flexibility and like the vulnerability that you're in and how the world is like constantly changing and how as a startup you need to adapt to that. And yeah, I don't know, like so many obstacles come in your way that you wouldn't have particularly expected. And Berlin was, other than those company visits, we did a lot of culture. So we went to like a couple museums in Berlin and learned obviously about the history of Berlin and Germany. We went to a concentration camp as well.
Where?
Like,
Which one?
oh gosh.
Okay.
Sachsenhausen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was really a very, very insightful experience, to say the least. And so, yeah, we did several activities with them. We went to the Berlin Town Hall, and we had a speaker.
How do you say town hall in German? I'm sorry.
Leo, please. No, with my horrible accent.
Do you speak German?
Absolutely not. I speak
Wait,
a lot
what do you speak?
English, French fluently, some great Spanish, and Italian-ish. Like, I understand everything. I'm just a bit shy when it comes
So
to
at home, what do you speak?
English and French, both. Yeah, mix, combo. Depends with who I'm speaking with. But, so
And German on the way.
Yeah, German. I know how to order a beer. That's
the most important part.
at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah.
But what was the most surprising thing about, like, Berlin?
The most surprising... Oh, good question. You know what? I think the most surprising thing is the fact that it's so open and, like, free that you're weird to judge people. And, like, it's a very weird thing because a lot of weird things happen in Berlin, but, like, at the end of the day, they're not that weird. But, like, you're weird for thinking they're weird. Do you see what I mean? So it really opens your mind because there's a lot of things going on and no one does anything or says anything. Like, it's just another thing that happens. And so, like,
It's
you'd
fluid.
be...
It's
yeah,
dynamic.
exactly.
It's
It's
just
like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my life. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not going to think twice about it. And so it was kind of like a slap in the face. Like, I don't consider myself to be a very judgmental person to begin with. But there are really things where it's, like, out in the open and, like, public where the majority of people would be like, what the hell
I'm not
hell is
used to
going
that,
on, and you'd be strange for even thinking twice about it. So I think that was really like
takes adapting as well.
Yeah,
to that.
for sure. Yeah, because you're like, did you just see that too? And like,
Yeah.
no one's saying anything.
It's not even negative judgment.
No,
it's just
no.
judgment in general
Exactly.
is so like intuitive.
Yeah. Exactly.
So people don't judge at all. They don't give their opinion.
Not really. It's not that they don't give their opinion, but it's just like you are free to do whatever you want. You're free to look however. I mean, I don't want to sound cliche and oh my god, Berlin, but it's true that you really have a side of Berlin that just does not care. Like, and that's it.
Is that contagious?
Yeah, I think it builds on.
You feel so free when you're there.
Yeah. It definitely builds onto you because I know like after Berlin, personally I think it's the like worst place I could have gone to after, but I went to Paris after. And like there I was like, oof, you know, like in Berlin I felt more free to dress how I wanted. It's not like I was dressing like crazy or anything, but then I went to Paris and I just felt a lot more observed.
And pressure.
Yeah, and pressure. But in Berlin, I really didn't feel that way. I don't know, maybe it was just me that was kind of hallucinating, but I definitely felt that from Paris where there was a way I had to present myself that you don't have in Berlin.
Next up, Shanghai.
So
that's this year, April?
Yeah, April. So how
do you feel about that? What are you looking forward to?
What am I looking forward to?
What are you expecting? Yeah.
What am I expecting? I think it's gonna be even more insightful than Berlin. Berlin was already a big
a statement.
Like Berlin was really a very deep, you know, intense learning experience, but I think the fact that we'll be in Asia and like none of us in our class can relate or know well the Chinese culture, I think for all of us it's really gonna be like a
culture shock.
Yeah, a culture shock for sure. I think I'm most excited about kind of looking more like behind the scenes, you know, what's happening in China, you know, because it's like China this, China that, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be right there, like in companies. I'm going to the oh gosh, of course exciting. It's completely escaping my mind. We're going to a super famous fair that's like huge for
there are probably thousands that
but it's like the one. I can't believe I'm blanking right now. Great question. It's like trade and consumer goods, and I'm so sorry, I'm completely blanking right now.
Like it's just Chinese firms or like Asian firms, or is it like the...
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
You shall never know.
Yeah, you listener shall never know. No,
Oh, good. What else? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things we're going to do, and then we're going to go to, like, little cities next door for also the cultural aspect, of course. But no, I'm really excited. Like, I think it's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be very destabilizing, but in a good way, you know. I mean, if you live 2 months and you get a full experience in Shanghai, especially, like, a business experience where, same thing, we're going to go visit a lot of companies, you know, and really get it, like, penetrating the Chinese culture and whole business ecosystem and startup ecosystem and innovation ecosystem. I think it's going to be super interesting.
Are you talking a lot about companies and stuff? Like, do you have ideas of, like, where do you want to work later? What do you want to do? Maybe aspirations or...
That's a great question. Oof. I'm, like, the worst person you could ask that question to, because... there are a lot of things I really like, and so it's like, where do I go in? You know, my degree is focused mainly on the environment and social, which I absolutely love, but I also have like artistic things like photography and music that I also really love. I don't think I'd make a career out of it, so I'm focusing more on environment and social. I think my plan, like in the near future, is definitely going into like, you know, the basics of going into an environmental startup or a social one, and, you know, starting in there, getting the vibe also of a startup, because that's also somewhere I want to go into, and creating my own company. So I want to see, you know, learn from the mistakes of others, kind of. Yeah, kind of be in the scene and see what it's like, is definitely where I'd start. I couldn't tell you, like, a particular company that I like, but like a big corporation and things, I don't really see myself going there. You know, I want to bring things to the company. I want to bring things to the table. I want to change, but...
And you think we cannot change, like, big companies?
Oof, that's a good question.
Not really, like internally. I don't know, I feel like
Internally,
one.
it's difficult.
Yeah, like if you're one employee on, I don't know how many thousands in one city, I think that's very hard.
Because at the end, like with the startups, you want to compete with them. So at the end, if you compete with them, then you are going to dismantle them.
Yeah.
So that's a bit, you know,
Yeah.
on a similar level.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know. I guess in
just-
that case, it's more external than internal. But I think, you know, changing it from inside is very hard. But I think now there are a lot more frameworks and things that are being implemented into companies, like, I don't know, corporate social
CSR,
responsibility, exactly, CSR, or like, I don't know, there are a lot of pillars of companies that are starting to be created that are changing the ways companies are currently.
I mean, that's the thing that I think Alice is talking about, is that the problem is that in big corporations, I feel like it's very slow.
Yeah.
And you feel like it's just the bureaucracy. And
Yeah, for sure.
There's so many steps. We see it in Italy whenever we want to change something.
Yeah.
It's slow because it's a big corporation, Italy as well.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I think your goal is to be in a startup and to get things moving along.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you like when things move along.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I don't like it when things are slow. Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. No, also I think if you're a successful startup and you know you establish yourself as a competitor of a big corporation, you can do things differently, and maybe that's your competitive advantage. That's what makes you different, and it works very well. Well, maybe they'll take inspiration of how you're doing things and implement it themselves, you know.
It's an alternative for consumers as well.
Exactly.
And
Alternatives, exactly. So.
But as well, I agree with Alice in the sense that we can't all create startups all the time.
No, for sure.
Because we have to, at some point there has to be a guideline.
Yeah.
There's going to be a company that's going to have more of the market share anyways.
Yeah. I
Might
mean,
as well improve that one.
Yeah. I mean, I also think like everything's already out there, to be fair. I mean, you know,
That's not true.
To a certain extent, in the sense, okay, I don't know, but like, I think, well, at least us, for example, in class, when we do a lot of projects where it's like, okay, you got to think of a solution to a problem and things. I mean, every time something already exists, it's just how do you do it differently, you know?
Yeah.
But there's a slight difference, but the idea or like the solution to the problem itself, on the grand scheme of things, stays relevant. It already exists in some ways. So
yeah, innovation is hard.
Innovation is very hard, yeah, for sure.
I think, yeah, that's just the main takeaway.
Yeah, you gotta get creative people out there to change the way things are done.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, I have the impression that all the BITLASI people are going for startups, and I was like, what a pity that there is nobody with this creative mindset going for bigger companies.
Well, also we're being very, you know, formed in some way to create our own, well, we're pushed, you know, to create our own company. I mean, you can totally do whatever you want, but definitely I think we all have that common thing, is we want to create or change, you know. So I think that's a little grain in our mind that reunites at least the whole class of wanting to do things differently.
Okay, there's just something coming up in my mind. Is like, I see that you won't change, and I guess like a lot of people in your class won't change.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a moment in your life where you feel like, okay, I don't know the word in English,
Injustice, unfairness.
Yeah. Did you ever like face a situation of unfairness that gave you this thought about, I want to make a change?
Ooh, there are so many things, but that's a lot. Like personally, or like
I mean, you.
Yeah.
As Laetitia, yeah.
I think, well, the first thing that came to my mind was sports, like, because I do a lot of sports that are male dominated. Like I play football, I play rugby.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah, exactly. So there are like huge prejudices to the skills women can have in certain sports. So I think like that's something that I've definitely been confronted to essentially my whole life, to be fair. Like, you know, it can be a silly example of, our football club is doing renovation on one pitch. Okay, well, girls, you have no more training anymore because we got to move all the boys to this pitch. And so it's like, okay, you do you. And this was when I was like 15, you know. Also there, you know, establishing yourself as a community of women in a male-dominated sports, but you have talent. Like that's, for example, a situation of unfairness. But I don't know, there are a lot of other ones. Men's mental health, I really like talking about that. And, you know, raising awareness. I think it's an unfair
stigma
for sure. Yeah, thank you. So yeah,
there are lots of issues. Yeah, but do you think, because we're going to talk about sports right now actually, because we know that's a big part of your life.
Yeah,
football, rugby, and it's a big part of your personality, I suppose, as well, because people who are very invested in sports tend to be competitive, tend to be very, driven in some aspect as well, team-spirited. So we wanted to ask, what impact has sports had in your life for now, or ever since? How has it grown? How has it evolved? And how can you apply that maybe to your career later, or maybe to your life in general?
That's a good question. I think I actually thought about it the other day. I was like, what are the things in my life that have like really taught me something, especially in sports? I think the main thing would probably be obviously like working in a team and how to get the right dynamic so that it works well. Because one thing is like individually how skillful are you as a player, but that is like that doesn't work. I mean, in itself doesn't work that much. Like you need your team, you know what I mean? And so it's hard because you need to manage yourself, like your mentality and your mindset and the pressure you have. You need to manage that well. But also, like, in my position where I lead teams and, like, I was a captain and I'm now the president of the rugby team, you also have to involve all the other people that are surrounding you and that are part of your club. So I think getting them on board and creating this aspect of team and finding ways to gather and create a community, like that's definitely a big thing I've learned. But I say this because it also reflects in my professional life, of managing yourself and your responsibilities, but also having everyone in your team, like us, because we do projects, Rory's in teams. And so also managing how they work with you. I think sports in that sense taught me a lot, having everyone on the same page.
And actually, as you went from like captain to president, and you're talking about management, is there a difference in terms of the relations that you have with people? How do you, like, what are the different
dynamics?
Yeah, roles that you had, like being captain, so you were on the field. I mean, you're still on the field. Yeah. Now you're president. So how does that change, and how do you talk to people? Like, how do you manage them?
Well, captain's a lot more like chill, in the sense that it's more you're like a main pillar during tournaments and things like that, but president is just like a full-time job essentially, kind of, because you're managing all the problems you have, and on a small scale of just an association in a uni, I'm encountering a lot of problems, but that's it's good. Like, I like it a lot because it's a great learning experience. It's a lot of work and a lot of responsibilities, but as a learning experience, it's really nice. And I know a lot of like ex-students that were part of associations, they were like, I underestimated the value behind being part of an association, or on top of that, being on the board of an association. You learn a lot. And so I'd say, like, being a president now, I feel more, I have more responsibilities and I feel more mature than when I was a captain, where I'm not controlling everything, but as a president, like, I have the authority. I mean, it's a big word, but people depend on me a lot more than obviously when I was a captain.
It's different as well, because captain is on the field.
Yeah.
Captain is just the sport related.
Yeah.
And it's the players, and you're supposed to have a role as a leader to lead them to the objective you have as a team.
Yeah.
As president, you look over the whole organization, you look at the expenses, you look at, okay, is everyone showing up? Okay, do we have the field to train?
What events are we going to?
Exactly.
How do we go to these events?
Is everyone enrolled in these? You don't want to have someone that's not in the hotel, or you know. So this is all different parts of the sport that you don't have to take into account as a captain.
Yeah, completely.
And that now you see like the different side of it.
Behind the scenes.
And people as well, that you're talking about, the different people you manage. You just have to manage the players as a captain, I guess, and then you're part of the team, but all the other treasurer, all the other associations, the roles associations, you have to be managed too. So
yeah, for sure. No, I actually really like it. Like, it's kind of the first like real established role as leadership, I could say. Like I have other experiences, but I really feel like that one is definitely the one that's teaching me the most in so many ways.
And how would you describe the Rebel Lions to a first year student?
Oh, I would say family. Like, sorry, I always use this word, but like at the end of the day, it's really true because it's a very fun association. Like, we have a lot of fun. Like, it's serious and we train, I mean, obviously, but I think when we go to tournaments and we come back from these, like, we're really super tight, you know, and I think that is kind of the best thing you'd expect, I guess, of an association at if you want to join a university. Like, I know for me personally, being in BITLASI, in the first promotion ever, you know, no one's above me in the sense, there are no graduates above me. You know, I showed up to a study, I didn't really know anyone, you know, and being in a different building as well, like, the rugby was a great opportunity for me to meet different people in different degrees, in different years. Like, it was a great experience to meet people, but not only meet them, like, thanks to the tournaments, I really became close to these people too, you know? So I think in that sense, like, rugby at least really brings people from different backgrounds close to each other.
Yeah, I was gonna hit on 2 points. I think rugby in general as a sport has that culture of solidarity and family that you say, because it's such a violent sport. There's a lot of respect that comes with that, you know? Obviously, because it's so physical and you literally almost go to war for one another.
Yeah.
You do in other sports, but rugby is on a different level.
Yeah. And
as well, the conditions are difficult. So I get that sense of family, I think, is expressed in other rugby teams as well. Mm-hmm. And you touched on the tournaments and how it helped your team bond.
Yeah.
And I think that's an underrated aspect of sports, especially at ESADE, and like, we feel like the tournaments are really an opportunity for teams to bond and to create visibility for the university.
1,000%.
So what do you think, in general, the university could do maybe to enhance that sport visibility abroad?
I think we in some way deserve a bit more, at least validation or attention to a certain extent, because I think it's a real pity that the teams that are, I know the level of all the teams that we have, and I know it's a very high level, like, it's actually competitive to get into teams, and I think it's just there's a quick lack of attention and validation, I think, from the university's behalf. It should be a crucial pillar for everyone's experience at the university, actually, to put it simply.
Yeah.
You know, I think everyone should have the opportunity to be part of a team, because you learn so much from it, whether it be personal or not. Like, just like I said, you meet so many people, just as yourself. I've met a lot of people from different cultures, especially different degrees. It's so valuable, you know what I mean? And everyone should have the opportunity. It's not because you're a blessed athlete that only you can, you know? So I think it's a pity that it's very selective and reserved for the lucky few. And then all the rest, which is thousands of students, don't get the same opportunity. It's really a pity that the level is so high and the rest just can't participate, you know?
Now you formulated it really well. Like, I relate 100%. First, because I could not get into any teams. Okay.
Yeah.
Second, and as like in transpose, I realized like how a lack of help we don't have any help from the uni.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking now, if we could create a club of how we could like try to reallocate the resource of ESADE between the students, not between the students, but a group of students. I think that would be so fun and for so interesting. But thank you for sharing.
No, of course. No, I think they should make it become a pillar of ESADE.
I think sports is valued in a lot of universities. I mean, when we go to tournaments abroad, it does feel like ESADE is undervaluing sports.
Oh yeah, and that's one way of putting it.
And that we, you know, it's unfortunate because, like you say, sports has so many values that it can provide, and it can enhance your students' experience so much and provide so much visibility for the university and make you feel proud to represent your university and say, you know what, this is my university, I'm going to fight for it, and I'm going to you engage with other students as well, because I support your rugby match, you support our basketball matches, you know, and it creates a link between students as well. It's something we're trying to do with Alice now with this podcast, but sports is another way to do it.
100%.
And it just creating dialogue about it is important, I think, because if the university sees value in the students and that they export that to other students that want to come to the university because they know they have this sports department, and as well providing access to sports to students that are not necessarily professionals or not that we are professionals, but like
I play for the national team.
No, but like people that have played sports for just it could be enhanced. So I totally agree.
Totally, and I mean sports is a pillar of a lot of universities. Like bear in mind, I don't know, in the UK you have crazy facilities. I mean, come on, for me it's a logical thing to also invest in that. You know, I don't even think there should be a conversation about it in the sense I think it
clearly has to be though.
Yeah, it does. But it's true that, I mean, word of mouth, like personally I always sell associations a lot, you know. I think it's super, super important. Genuinely, you miss so much of your university experience and opportunities by not being able to join an association. The clubs is a very important part of your experience as a student, so I definitely think that overall more resources need to be allocated to that.
Yeah, I've never thought about the people that cannot get into any association. What's about them?
What do they do in their lives? Amazing. Like no. Genuinely. No. Don't get me wrong. Genuinely. Like
okay.
in the sense.
I get you.
In the sense that it's like.
It's so valuable.
It is really valuable if you're part of one, and on top of that, if you're part of the board of one, it is such an experience.
It's different than your studies. It's actually putting into practice.
Exactly, and you just have more responsibilities and more things to look forward to. I'm like, I mean, if I don't know what I would do with my, like, in the sense.
Yeah, we have no free time.
Like you get. I mean, great. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess you just have a lot of free time, but it's like.
But so you were part of other association as well?
Yeah, like I did a lot.
What did you do? Tell us.
So, especially last year, I did a lot. Last year, I was in football. Futsal, actually, because I keep on saying football, but it's five-a-side. I am part of that. Well, rugby as well, and I was part of Transpose, social media. That was a lot of fun. I was part of the studio as well.
You did a lot.
And then we had another association called ISADE, sports sponsorship, ESS, and then that.
How did it work? Was that? Did it actually
no,
was it launched or
crumbled?
It didn't work out.
No, it didn't. But it was pretty hard, to be fair. Like.
But what was the initiative behind?
So basically, it was finding sponsors for sports teams at ISADE, and I don't know. It just looks like the hardest task in the world. Like. I mean, everyone sends thousands of emails, you know, because every association at ISADE is looking for sponsors. And, you know, if your dad is not the CEO of, I don't know what, like, good luck.
Share us your tips, Alice.
I think that's the funniest thing ever. Like, I think you learn so much. I just remember that last year I was in the sponsorship team, and I remember that with a friend of mine, we took the Transpose magazine and we went into stores in Elborn, and we were just like selling the magazine in front of them, and they were just like, yes, and then you text them behind and they never reply. But you learn so much by being rejected like that.
Totally. No, completely. Oh my gosh, it's a never-ending process, this thing. Like, you just get no's and no's, like, constantly.
Wait, so
and
what was
no
the need that you identified? Because you started to look for sponsors for, like, a sports team, but why?
Babes, we don't have money.
How else can we put it subtly? How can we put it subtly?
I mean, I'm not gonna... Yeah, no, we needed money. I think the benefit, I'd say, of the rugby team is that we're not under the umbrella of the ISADE Sports, which therefore means that...
Why are you not with ISADE Sports?
I'm not going to tell in the sense that it happened years before I was at uni, and I'm not exactly sure of what happened. So I don't want to say anything wrong. Okay.
No one's gonna sue you.
Yeah, before I say anything wrong. No, I think it was a situation where, like, the team said, all right, listen, either you give us the money that our sponsor is thinking of providing us with, or we leave and we get the money. And so I think the conclusion was, okay, that we leave and we get the money from our sponsor.
So it was about money.
Yeah. It's always about money at the end of the day, you know.
And, like, I understand you that it's very hard and it's a big struggle, but I would say to the students that are thinking about working in sponsorship or, like, doing sponsorship in association, like, it is so interesting. You learn so much, and it's the most formative thing, professionally speaking.
Yeah. No,
and you bond a lot with your peers as well.
It's challenging, but definitely worth it. And you find, I mean, we've found a lot of sponsors, like, there have been a lot of events with sponsors, so...
Yeah, that's
the biggest.
Fact.
No. It's
that's
totally.
Completely.
No.
When you find a sponsor,
exactly.
It's
you
the
hold.
ultimate
You hold on to them for dear life.
Do you have like a favorite event in the study that you would recommend to students? Is there something that marked you or that you would recommend?
They did a TED Talk thing, like a TEDx Esade event, and
we had our guest about that.
Amazing. Well, there you go. And I really liked that. I really liked the, you know, quick speakers kind of type of thing. You know, it's not like a 1 hour talk. I don't know. For me personally, like there are some events where I'm like, not that I'm scared to go, but I'm like, wow, this is so like this is really just personal. It's like so serious that I'm like, I'm not qualified to even participate in this event, you know? There were like approximately like 5 speakers and all from very different backgrounds, and it was super interesting. I think that was like my favorite event, probably. It's very insightful. So that's
by E3.
E3.
TEDx by E3, yeah.
Shout out.
You shared a lot about association. We talked a lot about your sports interests, about associations in general. Let's go a bit deeper about what you mentioned before, the music and photography especially. You have a photography account?
I do.
On Instagram. You want to plug that in real quick?
At Litigraphie.
Okay, very good. No, it's great
God,
pictures.
That's a self-promo.
No. I'm the one who...
Fair enough.
I gave you the gateway.
Fair enough.
Photography seems like a very, you know, a passion that a lot of people share nowadays. And taking pictures is very common, even amongst casual people that don't necessarily like the photography and the aesthetic of it. What does photography mean to you, and how do you see this whole thing of taking pictures of everything? Do you think it takes off the purity of the moment, or does it add value? Like, how do you see that whole aspect?
Okay. I think personally for me, photography, well, I do analog photography, and I say that because...
What is it?
Film.
Okay.
Voilà. Sorry, I just forgot the word in French. Yes, and I say that because, well, for me personally, I really like authenticity. And that's why I chose analog over digital for sure. Because, for example, when I take pictures of people, it's one shot and that's all you get. You know, I'm not going to take 50 pictures of you because that's just a lot of money. So I really like that thing of just like one shot, one chance type of thing, which is why, you know, I resonate fine in that sense. It resonates with me. Like, I really like the true, the reality behind it. You know, I don't like having thousands of pictures of one thing and picking the best. You know, I think that's a bit of a pity. I think on the grand scheme of things, whether you're casual or not, like, I think it's great to capture just a moment. And
do you have like a special interest in art, or it's mainly photography?
Mainly photography, but I also do music, so I guess that's...
What do you do?
I try to make music. So.
Like...
Whoa.
DJ?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's exactly how...
That's the move, no? Wait, am I doing it right?
Yes, exactly. Oh, criminal.
Yeah,
I try to make...
That kind of is criminal.
Do you do it with Nico?
No,
Nico?
so he mixes more. So at Unsocial Network, little shout out to my G, he mixes, so he's like a genuine DJ and goes to events and parties and things and mixes there.
And you're his marketing manager.
No, not at all. Actually, I take pictures for the brand, that's true.
I should say that because you're literally selling him.
Yeah, no, but it's part of the project.
It's great.
Yeah. No, I try to make music myself, so I'm more just chilling in my room, doing my own thing.
Do you play instruments, or how do you...
I used to, well, I mean, nothing serious. Like, I played the piano and the guitar for a couple years, but I cannot align 2 notes together on a piano at all. But it's just like, I can hear it. I feel like I listen to a lot of music that I get what I like and what sounds good and what doesn't, I guess.
Do you use platforms? How do you make music?
Yeah, I've started on GarageBand just like to get into the, you know,
Gist of it, yeah.
Gist of it, but there are a lot of different platforms that are like more or less professional. Obviously, completely depends on your level, but I'm like getting into it, you know, so nothing too professional yet.
And how would you explain it to a beginner? Like you pick a sound and then you take another one?
You have tracks, basically you have tracks,
Mm-hmm.
and so like one track will be like an instrument or a voice or something, and then you just like combine tracks and kind of hope for the best. Like, I just do it on my MacBook. Like, I don't have a full keyboard, so you have some effects that are a certain key in things. So
we have a little surprise for you. We have
geez.
asked a friend of yours to ask you a question.
Oh God, no.
So we're gonna listen to it live, and then you're gonna be able to respond. This is Saskia.
Saskia, you absolute legend.
Hey Liddy, I hope you're enjoying your podcast recording so far. I have a question for you today, which is what are the values that you would like to teach your children, in a sense of what are the things that you consider as the most important for your children to understand, to learn, and to live and act by, that you really want to prioritize in teaching them? Yeah.
Wow. Jeez. Thank you, Saskia, for this unexpected question. A value I would teach my kids.
Do you want to have kids first?
Yeah, of course.
You do?
Yeah,
That's
for
a
sure.
very good question.
Yeah, that is a good... Imagine I didn't. No, but in the sense, like, that would be awkward. I want...
that would be interesting.
yeah. Definitely. I come from a big family, so I definitely want to have...
How many brothers?
I have 3 older brothers, so we're 4. So I want 4.
They just waited for a girl to stop.
Yeah, exactly. I'm born 6 years later and everything, so after my brother. Anyways, value I teach my kids. Honestly, I think open-mindedness, yeah, because it is a very, I think it expands on a lot of different things. I think personally that open-mindedness really, like,
Bronze?
yeah, like, no, but has an impact on a lot of different pillars of who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. I think, like, I say open-mindedness because it also, for me, it also resonates with, like, patience that you have, like, with other people. You know, like, I want to teach, you know, acceptance and different things, you know, like hearing experiences or cultures or traditions or personalities or anything that is not only yours, you know, and see all the diversity in the world, because to be fair, I've really constantly been confronted to different cultures and different mindsets, and it teaches you so much, like, as a person. And yeah, I think it also gives you a lot of peace, you know, in some way, you know, not being scared of the unknown, kind of embracing exactly, yeah, not even being scared, but on top of that, embracing it is, well, like, for me, the key to the world, you know.
And how do you measure open-mindedness?
How do you measure
like,
open-mindedness?
how would you know if you did a good job with your... I mean, yes, you can.
The best way I could answer your question is I feel like I've become a lot more open-minded in the sense that, like, I seek different... Like, I know that now I seek different opinions, for example. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. But I love telling people, like, tell me I'm wrong. Like, contradict me. So I think for example, is something that I progressively learned, and that I hope that my kids will have, you know, this thirst of teach me something new, teach me something different. Like, what are other people saying? How are other people viewing things, you know? And I think, yeah, open-mindedness, like, really literally opens so many doors.
And do you have an idea of how you would teach your kids to be open-minded? Like,
well, personally, it was really being confronted to diversity, to put it simply. I think obviously if you're in the same place your whole life and you've been in one social setting your whole life, you only see that, so you only think the world is like that, but it's not at all.
We talked about values a lot, but do you have maybe someone you look up to, but someone that you would like to maybe have dinner with, someone you'd like to meet and have an intimate conversation with?
I need to think about it a bit, because I feel like there are aspects of people that I really like. Obviously, like, you know, I don't want to say, oh, my dad or my mom, you know. Like,
you can have dinner with them anytime.
Yeah, exactly. What, I mean...
Someone you're curious about, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Like, you have a question to, or, like, you want to understand how they live.
I think, oh gosh, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I always use this example, and it's very cheesy, but let me explain. I think I would sit down with Oh, wait, now I have two answers in my head. No, I think I would sit down with Greta Thunberg. Okay, super cliche, like, please don't, yeah.
Why is it super cliche?
Because it's like, oh, you study the environment, and it's...
No,
we're in the Berlin mindset here.
Yeah. Alright, cheers. Yeah, see, this is me. No, I think I'd say Greta Thunberg because I really admire her courage for, like, having such a, you know, face in the public and, like, such a political... you know, importance and relevance at such a young age, and it's like I would never have the courage, even though I feel like I express myself on topics, like I don't hesitate to say what I think, but not to that extent. Like I express myself to my close surroundings, but I could never really like speak up, you know, for why.
It's difficult.
Yeah, and also like I think the main thing is I have a hard time justifying myself. Like, proving why I believe in something. Even though, like, I have the reasons too, it just makes me panic when you, like, try to, you know, contradict me or something. And so just being in that setting where I have to prove myself is kind of scary. Her process of, you know, gathering people and getting people in the same boat. I think I admire her, like, leadership, you know, for such a young age. I struggle with getting people in the same boat, you know.
But she did it in a very particular way, in a very humble way as well, that I admire, is that she never intended it for her to be the central scene. She doesn't want it to be the central. She wants her cause to be the center of the attention. And she just started out in Stockholm doing her...
Friday.
She's from Sweden, right?
Yeah.
In Stockholm, doing her Friday protest, and then
imagine
it
she's
just picked
Finnish.
up. Oh, because you confirmed she was Swedish, but you know what, Greta, we admire you. Okay?
No, she's definitely Swedish. Don't. Oh God.
And no, but you know what I mean. Like she didn't even intend to get to that level. She just became that persona that is associated to global warming and climate action now.
Yeah. And I think also I like it because I personally also want to get more invested and more involved in politics, and so I think it's interesting from her position. Like, I feel like I could learn a lot from her. And then I thought of another answer. I was like, oh my gosh, please sit me down with, like, politicians that I completely disagree with, but in, like, an insight, like, I genuinely am like, why do you think this way about this topic? I would really like that also, to have someone that I completely disagree with, but a genuine conversation of, like,
so you're interested in their justification?
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking about what you say about the fact that you're scared to justify yourself and that they just criticize your justification. And are you sure that's the main reason? Because anyway, if your justification is great, they are going to criticize you. If it's shitty, they are going to criticize you.
Sure.
So what's the thing behind?
It's people, it's pressure.
Because you're interested in politics as well.
Yeah.
You just mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I overcome this, but I don't know, I to be fair, also I think I disagree with, you know, like this thing of, like, people posting messages on Instagram where it's like, oh my god, the Amazon forest is on fire, and there was a whole trend where, like, everyone was posting this on their story. And I'm like, come on, like, I know you well, you don't do a lot for the environment, you know? So there are a lot of things where I disagree, where I'm like, if you don't fundamentally really believe in what you're saying and act upon that, you know, like,
then
I'm
where's
a bit...
the line?
Where's the line?
Because you can...
I think I need to educate myself a lot more before I want to speak out. So I'm not going to tell you, like, even though I'd like to tell you, you can't have an opinion, but inform yourself a lot more, educate yourself a lot more, and then...
Be coherent.
Exactly.
Be authentic.
But also see the whole panel. And I think I want to see the whole panel before...
I see your point, but at the same time, I feel like it's always waiting to get ready.
Yeah. No,
and
completely.
Then, you know,
and then the moment's gone. Yeah. Complete. No, I disagree with the way I think. I think it's but it's a pity because I'm like, well, you know, so what? At the end of the day, I'm never gonna say anything. Yeah.
It's okay.
Exactly.
Everyone has that.
Exactly.
Yeah, to go maybe on a lighter theme. Just.
Do you have a lighter?
No, it's just a casual question. Do you have a favorite beer?
Do I have a favorite beer? Ooh, I used to hate beer actually when I was back in the day. I used to hate beer, and then I discovered the Corona with a lime, and that was like the pivotal thing that happened in my life. Honestly, pivotal point. No, I'm kidding. Coronas, yeah, definitely hit a sweet spot for a couple of years. Now, I'm gonna have to say, just because it's Barcelona and I religiously drink this beer, it's gotta be Estrella Damm, man. Yeah, I'm very basic in that sense, to be honest.
That's fine. There's no basic.
Damm.
It's a beloved beer.
What's your beer? What's your favorite beer? What's your beer?
What's my beer? I'm not a huge beer drinker, but...
What's your favorite water?
Volvic.
What's the sparkling... Vichy Catalan.
Vichy Catalan, I really like that.
I can't.
Shout out Barcelona for
Absolutely.
that. That's my Barcelona vibe.
Never.
No, Barcelona is for me is vermouth.
Yeah.
Vermouth hits.
Yeah, that's true that you really do like that.
Yeah, when I drink, I like that.
We should go to the disco place again. The vinyl place.
The Curtis, yeah.
Curtis? Okay, Curtis. What's your favorite?
I don't drink beer.
Okay, well, the vermouth is not a beer.
Drink.
Oh, okay. Wine.
Wine.
The white one.
White. I can't do wine. It just hurts my head, man. Like, instantly.
Does it turn your head right round?
No, it's just, I have a glass, I'm like, yeah, alright. I'm done, now I'm in pain, and the next morning it's, at my ripe old age.
Can't tell. Okay.
We have a final surprise for you.
Oh my gosh, can you stop?
We love surprises on...
This is good, to be fair.
Did you read it?
I did not read it.
Okay, that's a
Okay,
surprise.
who wrote
So-
this question now?
Our last guest...
She will know after.
She will know
First,
after.
she opens.
Very good.
Okay.
This is our last guest that wrote a question
okay.
for the next guest,
Ah,
which you will do the same.
okay, interesting.
Both of us don't know what the question is, so we didn't know when to plug this in,
Okay,
but here it is.
imagine it's something I've already answered. Oh my
I
gosh,
didn't.
this is a monologue.
Yeah, she wrote quite a few sentences.
Oh!
Can you read it out loud?
Yeah, I will. Don't worry. What did you realize about yourself when making this interview, when having this interview, that you were not that aware about before? Did you learn something about yourself? Can I say the person's name?
Yes.
Kata. Cheers for the question. A. Definitely our whole conversation about, throwing yourself out there and speaking for what you're... Stand for, thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. No, I think I'll definitely sit on it and think about it for sure. Thank you for that. No, really, I think, no, but I think it's, you have to have the courage to say what you think, but also, like, cut yourself some slack, maybe. I think I'm like, I need to be a professional before I say anything. Also, like, I'm scared of like, posting things on social media and having people disagree with me. I don't know, like, things like that.
There's an hour and a half conversation here where you put yourself out there, so you're already there.
Yeah, exactly. Little by little. I mean, I think I prefer having, like, conversations with people than, like, throwing, a huge statement on social media. Like, it's, as my first example is, like, men's mental health. I don't post about it on social media, but there's nothing I love more than speaking about it, with guys, but also with girls on, like, the opposite side of the coin, where I prefer doing it, physically and actually, having a conversation about it than, like, just posting on social media. But it's true that there's definitely something I learned about myself. That was a great question, to be fair, and great conversation about expressing yourself.
You're really relatable. Like, no, but I mean, like, by exposing, like, where you're more sure and other areas of your life where you're maybe less sure, it makes us all reflect about our own, like, visions and insecurities and
thank you. That's
paths,
That's very nice of you to say that.
And the last question, can we now? Yeah. So we usually ask to guests, what is the main message that you would like to share with our SADE community, SADE students community?
What's the main message I would share? main message,
You were sipping.
I've
Watch
had
out.
elimination. Probably main lesson, I haven't spoken about this during this podcast, so is that okay?
That's
Good point.
fine, Letty.
Okay, it's an additional thing. Oh my gosh, please, dear God, force yourself in first year to meet people that are not from the same country as you. Because without failure, every single year, I've heard friends of mine or people I know that have found themselves in a group of people that only come from where they come from, and they always regret it. They always wish that they met more or they hung out more often with international people. And like, it's a general thing that a lot of people mention, and also it's this whole circle thing that it's hard to get out, but in first year it's the opportunity to meet a bunch of people. So if you're French, don't stay only with the French, because I'm sure, because I've heard it so many times, you will regret sticking with the one only group of people that tend to be where you come from. So that's my main takeaway, I think. Is that
Good
valid?
advice. Yeah, good
Is
advice.
that
to
valuable
students.
enough? No, because
I mean, hopefully they'll listen to this.
no,
the first
really,
year.
genuinely, I always hear this, and I always hear people
Mm.
saying, it's a pity that I didn't meet more international people. And you can do that 1,000% through associations. Like, that's how I did it. Like, even if I was in the residence and I met a lot of French people, throughout my associations, I've met people from all over the world. And I can't say I stick to one nationality at all. And it has taught me so much. So, yeah.
Good message.
Yeah.
Whole circle.
Full circle?
Full circle.
Full circle
Full
moment.
circle.
Full circle moment. That's
Yeah.
true. We started with my 26 nationalities,
Yeah.
and now we're ending on diversity. Exactly. Yeah, that's my key takeaway.
Thank
Thank
Letty.
you.
Thank you guys. This was so much fun. I loved it. Have me again.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you share it to a friend or a relative that you think might enjoy it. Make sure you follow our socials at Transpose Magazine. Make sure you follow Letty.
At
Lettigraphie.
Lettigraphie.
Lettigraphie, Letty
I
Squire.
hope the photographer's out there.
Exactly. It's been a pleasure to have you on, Laetitia. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing all these insights.
Thank you for the questions and
Yeah.
the introspection that will follow.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed it as well on the other side, listeners, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.